I don't fucking know. There's apparently no audio.
Should have chose the side.
Yeah, all right. Is there audio now, guys?
It's probably
You
going
did
to
that.
take a second for him to catch up.
I know. I'm waiting. I'll just redo the intro.
You did that intro for 3 people.
Yep. I tell you, it would have been 5 people had this audio worked, so it wasn't. There we go. All right. Hello and welcome to Modern Toy Fair. I'm your host, Mr. Modern Toy Fair, and I'm joined by the founder of the Heck Illuminati, the delayer of shipments, the procrastinator of pre-orders, the perfect person, the two-time daddy, my YouTube wife, Mrs. Modern Toy Fair, Jarmar_Games. But that's not all. I'm also joined by the consumer of all things vile, one of the former co-hosts of the Figuratively Speaking podcast, Corey. And last but certainly not least, for the second time, he is the man Modern Toy Fair has full custody over. The man known as Bearded Spice. The man Optimus Prime popped in who refuses to stop. The Twilight Knight, the master of Mac, the 3-pump chump of taking the show off the rails, Nate. How's
What's
everybody
happening,
going?
y'all? How's everybody going?
I am extremely winded, and my throat is already sore.
Yeah.
I am
get it.
amazed you can remember that intro. Because it's like...
It's
lengthy.
hefty. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah. And then the worst is, like, you know,
Doing
people
it
want me
twice.
to add more nicknames, and I'm like, I
Oh.
can't.
More?
Yeah,
More nicknames?
more nicknames.
Yeah,
I mean,
remember that whole thing about your titties?
you
Every,
get new
every
titties
week
every
talk
other
about?
week, so
We're not allowed to
Yeah.
talk about that till the end of the show, I thought.
yeah, true.
Good point.
Anyway, so if you missed the cold open because of audio issues, is it time to cancel our pre-orders again? So, in the past couple weeks, there's been some things going on in the toy YouTube space. First, back in May, Pixel Dan put out a tweet, essentially just saying that he canceled all his non-MOTU related pre-orders. Basically stating that, like, he feels like if they don't bring him joy, then he can live without it. Which, to an extent, makes sense. He's more into that, you know, the older stuff than the modern stuff. So I can't imagine it's the end of the world. However, literally, I think it was literally the day after that tweet, there was Yak Face's Instagram post, which added also like a little hashtag to it. So this is the post. It has been a long time coming, but I'm finally joining the No Pre-Orders Club. Going forward for all Hasbro Star Wars announcements, I don't really understand how Hasbro and by extension their retail partners can continue to set off the mark with estimated arrival dates. Orders continue to process months earlier than initially solicitations, press releases state, and with the possibility of another $500 TVC Hasbro or HasLab dropping at any time. For me and others, the barrage has become untenable. I'll be switching to in-stock only purchases for the foreseeable future. Judging by the large drop in pre-orders I've seen through affiliate links, there must be a lot of people doing the same or pulling back altogether. And then he has his collecting my thoughts, which are he has 3 things listed here. 1, buy what you like, pass on what you don't. 2, natural selection will weed out the things that are not successful. Truly successful toy lines endure because of character selection, quality, and value. Faltering in any one of the, this is what happens when you're dyslexic. Faltering in any one of these 3 areas can lead to apathy and spending our shrinking dollars elsewhere. And third and finally, he's got, don't take this hobby so seriously as to where it's not fun and more of a chore. So we have discussed many of these topics several times in several variations.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you see people like every time something goes wrong or prices go up or people start getting burnt out for whatever reason, we see a flood of these kind of messages and stuff. So a lot of times it gets kind of just thrown to the wayside of like, oh, it's just, you know, people being people. But let's just, let's all aboard speculation station here. What do we think could happen if more people jumped on board? Do we think more people would jump on board? Do we think there's a world where the majority stops pre-ordering things to attempt to send a message of like, we don't want this crap, do better, or we don't want to deal with your crap distribution, do better? Because like obviously it was very Hasbro specific because of Star Wars and the fact that he mentioned them being like, hey, this is coming out in July, and then it comes out in March. Like, that's a pretty common thing nowadays. And while it's great to underpromise and overdeliver, in a world where most people don't have a lot of disposable income right now, I feel like that's not the good choice, because people have to budget and they can't account. Even businesses need to budget. Like all your small businesses, all your e-retailers like Nerdzoic and all of them need to be able to budget, and it throws off their budget if they have to pay you months early. So what do you guys think? Where are you at with this? Do you think this is a good choice? Do you think more people are going to do it?
I'll start by saying that I was actually surprised. I don't know if you guys, obviously Michael knows because he created this topic or did the research for us. But I was totally expecting that it was the typical, oh, they made us mad, so let's stop pre-ordering situation. But those are some pretty good points of like, hey, I'm getting this stuff too early, and that's sort of like screwing me over. So that's like a different perspective than just being like, oh, you guys aren't making the things that I want. Or the other side of it is you're taking way too long to deliver on something and the quality not being there. But do I think that we could actually see some headway in this? I doubt it. I don't want to be a pessimistic person, but like there's people that still pre-order Super 7, and it's already been proven that they're quite abusive to people of fans of theirs. So I just it's hard to get a collective. I don't again follow the toy universe that closely, like how you guys seem to have more of a pulse on it. But I don't know like how big like what would be an example of like how big of a deal this is for like these two people specifically to be like starting this sort of movement.
I could speak, I mean, if nothing else, on the yak face part of it, because like he's kind of like a big deal when it comes to Star Wars announcements, and then also pre-order information. So it's sort of ironic because everyone goes to yak face for all their pre-order links and things like that. Especially, with with Black Series, you have all those different exclusives and different drop times and things like that. Sometimes that was the only way to keep things straight, and especially Amazon things, because for whatever reason, when you search things, it just doesn't bring up exactly what it is that you're looking for, so you have to go through links. So like he's kind of a big deal now. Like Pixel Dan is a big deal for, I can't speak for everybody because I know like you don't really watch him, and I don't think Michael does either. Corey, I think you do to a certain extent. I have, especially in the past, all his like classics, MOTU classics reviews. I would watch those incessantly while I was collecting that line, in retrospect. So for him to do that, like that's they're coming, I think, from two different angles. One being the fan, and the other being a fan to an extent, but also a link from fans to some of the companies.
Insider.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't actually really even think about that part of it. Like yak face, people like Toy Shiz, that is so interesting when they do post, like, sure, Entertainment Earth or Big Bad Toy Store, you go there, you search, but if it's like on Amazon or just like on the internet, like you definitely cannot find new things without one of their links. So with one of these like linchpins in the operation, like just like coming out, and I'm not gonna say like all Star Wars toy collectors, but like a vast majority of them are looking at Yak Face like all the time. Like there's a couple of Star Wars toys websites that are like the leaders of that industry, that fan base or whatever, and Yak Face is definitely one of them. But I think it's a good idea to come up with this. We've seen other things like these grassroots type of movements happen. So it would be nice to kind of see that, but I think certain people's obsessions will get the better of them anyway. There has been a lot of things that I have personally like just let drop off because I was like, this is too much. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, Star Wars Black Series is, in my opinion, was more of a toy line that needed to be like a Legends of the world, and not this like all encompassing look, it's 3 3/4 but bigger type of mentality. So I just think it's like overinflated. So I've had to pull back on a lot of that stuff. So in terms of pre-orders, there's a lot of things where I'm just like, I'm not even going to focus on that. It's either going to be there or it's not later.
That's very fair.
I definitely think that like one of the Hasbro is probably the biggest offender, and I have to agree with Yak Face on a lot of that because I don't think anything stands out more than this past, I think it was September, where we had the HasLab of the Ghost. We knew exactly when it was going to fund. It funded, within the first day or whatever. So we knew it was going to fund. We just didn't know what all we were going to get. So we were expecting that $500 or whatever charge it was on that day. And then like that Boba Fett Jabba's palace set, which is incredible, don't get me wrong, that we had known about for like 18 months was also going to like get charged within like a week of that. And it's like, bro, you had 18 months to figure out when you were going to send this out, and you choose the week within. And I think that's why there's still so many of them on the website. And now they're on clearance because so many people canceled their pre-order because they had to choose, and they chose the Ghost over that. And I think it fucked them in the long run. But I don't think that overall we're going to see people with pre-orders go away. I just don't. There's going to be too many things. I mean, just look at last Friday with the tumblers online, from McFarlane. Those sold out pretty quickly. And in that case, those were the only ways to get those. Yeah, there'll probably be more when those launch dates come or whatever, or at least on the Amazon one. But we don't know.
We also don't know how much of that was like in like artificial inflation of scarcity.
Oh, absolutely. We don't know. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. Because, like, remember when the Michael Keaton figure and Batmobile set sold out immediately on Amazon, and then a couple months later they were almost half price. So
hell, even now you
never
can
know.
get them for like $50. Like, it's
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Corey's right. I mean, I tried to cut out pre-orders, for a lot of stuff, and I cut out a lot, but like some of the stuff that I still do, I'm still pre-ordering, even though I said I wasn't going to. Like they got the better of me because I couldn't find, the one Mandalorian that looks like Don Lemon from CNN. I couldn't find him for like a week or whatever. I was like pseudo panicking. And when you really think about it, like there hasn't been, I mean, with the exception of like Darth Revan, there hasn't been a vintage collection figure that wasn't easy to get. And even Darth Revan was easy to get for like a day or two. I'm rambling at this point too, but I just, there's still going to be people that do it, but I think this is a good idea to start with, especially with Hasbro. But I don't know if it's ultimately going to do what they hope it will and how long it'll last.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I try to like piece it together in my head. Like I'm thinking about like the newer McFarlane figures, how they were on pre-order. You see, like, there are so many scalpers now that are just, I don't know what these people do for a living. I don't know how they could go from Target to Target to Target on like a Tuesday morning at 8:30 a.m., you know, and just buy up all of these Azrael Batmans and stuff. So like, it is kind of like a give and take with pre-orders, because without the pre-orders, I definitely would have never gotten even the red one, because of how people are I don't even know, like, trained now with retail. Like, it's so weird to me that after all of the things that they've tried to stop scalping, like, it's still like a thing, and it seems like it's like way worse now. I don't know. I don't know if that's like a sign of like.
I don't think that scalping's as like way worse. I think it's gotten way worse with McFarlane, because McFarlane, like, now that line has finally kind of figured itself out, because its first couple of years were rocky, and it like had some weird choices with like characters and also with styles. Like, they did the animated series stuff and they looked really janky. I feel like now that McFarlane's kind of hit his stride with that line, he's reaching into that like old collector mentality of rarity and exclusives and chase figures, which is giving that mentality of people needing to run out and get them, because that ain't a problem with fucking Hasbro figures. Most of those you can easily find either online or in store. And like, even aside from maybe the MOTU turtles, those at first were kind of hard, but now I'm seeing Wave 1 pop up again, and I've seen that Krang green
everywhere now.
like golem looking fucker, like, multiple times. So the only one that I've really seen was the Slacker I got for Jarmar. I've only seen that twice, and both times there was one left,
which is baffling. Like, how is Target so tone deaf that was the figure that they put on like ultra sale for like $16 or something? Like, it makes no sense whatsoever.
So,
but that's
I think the problem is they put these things, they have these sales planned, and then things show up that have those same tags in their system, so they get included, and they don't have anyone who gives a shit enough to go through and like untag certain items that are like only so old.
Here's a weird thing with Target pre-orders. I have the newest McFarlane wave on pre-order from Target, which I know for a fact. Well, let me tell you why. Like, I know for a fact that it's been in stores multiple times, because I see the black Batman, the Plastic Man wave. I was able to get them on pre-order, which I don't even understand why this is the thing. If it's, if Target like doesn't want this or whatever, but I was able to get them on pre-order on a sale. So like, I pre-ordered them, and the whole wave cost me $80. So it's only $20 a figure, right? But they keep back ordering it multiple times, and it's like, if it's a problem, just cancel it, and then I'll get them later. Like, I don't understand why they even allow such a sale to happen on pre-orders, but they do all the time.
It's a tagging thing.
I got the Snyder Justice figures for like ultra cheap right when they came out, because they were on pre-order for whatever. But that's what I'm saying, though, is like the pre-order system is like broken in so many different ways with like everybody, I guess.
As far as that specific wave, though, I haven't seen any of the other figures, so I assume Batman's the only one that's out, right? So I assume you haven't gotten your pre-order on that, because it's probably all one order. So they can't ship it until they have all four of them, which means you'll never get it, because they'll sell through what stock they have and not give a shit, and then be like, "Sorry, we canceled your order."
I know that's what's gonna like piss me off, is that that by the time they tell me, "Hey, we can't fulfill this order," it's gonna be gone.
So at that point, I just buy it. Like, there's like every Target has 4 of those Batmans. Just buy them in store. And cancel your
I can't find the other 3.
It's because they haven't been released yet.
Yeah, they have.
Where?
They released here.
I've seen them. I've seen them at Books A Million. I've seen them elsewhere. I just didn't see them at Target, but I've seen them. I've seen all of them.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind that. I thought it was exclusive, so that's why I was confused.
No, They
No.
release them as a case, so people are buying. So I'm assuming some of these cases are like the variant case because the other 3 figures are chase figures. Like, and so I could only assume somebody would be like, "Oh crap! All 3 of these are like the chase figures, so we're gonna buy those instead of the Batman."
I'm sorry.
The Batman's
Are you
the
telling
only
me
one
that a Build-A-Figure wave, Todd McFarlane made 3 figures in the wave, chase figures?
Not chase figures, variants. So like the whole case comes, you got 2 Batmen, and then like I don't know how the case breakdown is, but like yeah, there's 2 different types of John Stewarts. There's 2 different.
Each one has variants.
Yeah, they all have a
Okay.
variant.
That's where I got confused. I thought you meant like he made it so like there's a chance that the case may come with the other 3 characters, but most likely it's just Batman. That's what I thought. Because so far Target just seems to get cases of Batman.
Right, because I think they're cases of the running changes or the variants, whatever you want to call them. But like I think people are just buying those 3 figures and then leaving the Batman because, hey, you just spent $75 on those 3 figures.
I don't think so, because none of us have seen them at Target, and like I've been at a Target right after they like stocked those initially, and the entire row was just Batman, like full. So like
I don't know. Scalper's gonna scalp.
Yeah, but that's a whole other mess to figure out though.
Are we basically saying that pre-orders, are they a necessary evil?
Hey, that's a callback. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna address a few different
They're
things.
frustrating.
So with what Nate mentioned about Yak Face, I think out of the 2 people that we're talking about here, Yak Face would be the bigger deal for this situation, because realistically, the thing that Pixel Dan is known for, which is Masters of the Universe, he didn't cancel those pre-orders. He kept those. So, like, there's not really an imprint that he's making here. He's just, put it out there of, like, I just canceled a shit ton of pre-orders because they didn't bring me joy. Where Yak Face, on the other hand, like, with that being such a big part of Star Wars collectors, I could see that one potentially having some ripples, nothing crazy. But on the flip side of that, it hasn't stopped him from still posting about the pre-orders. So at that point, I feel like it's kind of not going to make a difference. Like he's not doing it, but he's like, I'm not going to do the drugs, but I'm going to peddle them to you, kind of thing.
I'm sure there's obviously like kickback on the links, so
yeah,
you can't mess up the money. So it's like I strongly discourage you from doing this. But if you're going to use my links, like it makes sense.
But yeah,
I honestly, I don't know. Like, even as like a huge Star Wars fan, some of those Black Series releases, I'm like, how on earth are they still selling some of these? Like, how many Mandalorians did they just release? Like, oh my god, like, come on, guys, like, you're being taken advantage of at this point. Like, it's ridiculous.
Oh, they know it.
Here's a question that's, I guess, more like related to specifically like the pre-orders. Is there anything that could stop you from pre-ordering? Like what would stop you from,
shit being easily available at stores?
Okay, outside of everything being easily available, what would be, because it would be a pre-order, it would be canceling my pre-orders for a reason. Like, I'm making a statement, I'm taking a stand. So yeah, that's why.
You know why I canceled my pre-orders? Because it had the words Super and 7 on them. I was like, these will be on a discount. So I canceled them.
Not anymore, they won't.
Probably
because they're going to be smaller numbers because no one's pre-ordering. Which takes us back to what Jarmar mentioned at the beginning of the show, which was that, like, will it really make a difference? It's made a difference with the way Super 7's being dealt with. Those figures are no longer, like, sitting in stock anymore.
that's gonna make
I
people
think
pre-order.
I think the yeah.
But I'm saying it affected their business model to the point where now they're
Sure.
ordering less and less are being made, which is going to make it harder to get and make the prices on the secondary market go up versus like them really making a change. Like, yeah, there's the whole 2003 turtles are going to have double jointed elbows, and the big debate of, is this like what Brian Flynn said, where it's his team forcing him to do it, or is it the people with the money forcing him to do it? Like, it could be either or, but realistically, that's the only line that is getting that treatment. So it didn't make that much of a difference in the long run. It just fucked everyone who wanted those figures over, because they were like, well, let's get it when it's on clearance, and now they're not getting them at all, or they're getting them for more money.
There's a lot of things I can't comprehend with their business model, but
What were you saying,
what are
Nate?
you gonna...
What were you talking about specifically?
Me?
Yeah.
Jarmar mentioned that like if this would make a difference in someone in like the business model of
No,
pre-orders.
you were saying that people didn't pre-order them and now they missed out. What?
Yeah, so there's a lot like this Simpsons Wave 3 or whatever the most recent Simpsons Wave. Some of
okay.
The
Now I get what you're
Chromium
saying. I'm sorry.
Silverhawks.
Yeah, like
The
essentially
Chromium
the
Silverhawks
Ultimates
are-
figures that like were always going on clearance for $20. Now they're not even showing up as in stock. They're just
Right.
pre-order and then sold out.
The sad thing is, though, I think most of them, I think most people are like, I missed out. And then they're like, oh, well. Like,
Well, I think for
I mean-
a lot of the people who actually give a shit about the line at this point, they're doing it just as a completionist thing. Like, they've already started these lines, and Brian Flynn's wonky way of doing waves has fucked them into a corner where they have to, like, to get those characters they want, they have to continue.
imagine 10 years from now being a Simpsons fan and being like, I have these weird-ass selections of Simpsons figures for this collection. The weirdest Simpsons line ever.
That is pretty rough. So
Don't they have a Mike Tyson? Don't they have a Mike Tyson one?
Yeah, they have the
Yeah.
whatever his fake name is. Yeah.
But they don't have Homer. Normal Homer.
Nope. Let me hit up the chat here real quick. So after we get past all of the no sound, no audio restart stuff, we've got Laser Pants. He's kind of a big deal, as Nate said at the beginning. He also followed up with, you ate a whole wheel of cheese and pooped in the refrigerator. I'm not even mad. That's impressive. We've got, I'm going to fuck this one up. Kavekai? I apologize. I would cancel my pre-orders, but vehicles in G.I. Joe Classified are certain Transformers. It's like playing with fire. Yeah, it sucks that those, aren't going to retailers. They're exclusive. That makes it difficult. We got Fig Fan Samurai. In the upcoming Justice Society wave, there's a chase for all 4 figures. He can't be stopped. That's more Todd McFarlane. He followed up with a couple more here. We've got Viola's right. The JLA Batman is everywhere, just like the Affleck Batman is everywhere. I canceled my classified pre-orders because they don't move that fast anymore and always go on sale. I never used to dream of having to pre-order a McFarlane, but that seems to be all I pre-order now because it's the only line that sells out quickly right now. And the McFarlane line gets me. Sorry, yeah, he responded quote. This is the last one. Gets me because the waves I think I'm going to pre-order, he sends a 50% off coupon for redeeming his digital figures. So at 50% off, I just pre-order them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, like, McFarlane's antics kind of pissed me off a little bit enough that I'm like, you know what, I'm not doing the comic stuff anymore. Like, I'm just not going to bother with it. Like, I got both I pre-ordered both tumblers last week. We'll see if I keep them both. But I was like, I got enough focused on this movie stuff. I want to do the Batman Forever figures. I want that Batmobile. I want the blue Azrael Batman. And I'm not going to be able to get it because, like Corey, I found the red one at Books A Million, but I was like, I'll wait for now. I wanted Superman Blue and Superman Red because I loved that JLA story, and I was actually interested in getting more of the JLA figures. But yeah, that just kind of, and then I was going to have to go back and find the other Azrael Batman, which was hard enough to find when it was a Walmart exclusive, and I kind of had it.
I had to drive to Coshocton to get that blue one, that first blue one. Crazy. It is baffling. Character selection is kind of baffling with him for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's doing some really cool stuff, but kind of going back to these 90s chromium cover antics, I'm like, ugh.
I really wish like stuff like the Superman Red and Blue, like I wish he would have just came out and said something like, hey, these are going to be like 50-50 split. Like, like one, it won't be rarer than the other one. It's going to be, because I remember when Mattel did that Superman Red and Blue, like people were freaking out. They were like, how, like, I can't get both. And Mattel actually came out and said, it's a case split. You either get a red or a blue. Like, it's not, one will not be more rare than the other, which I thought was a cool idea back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Justice Society, I didn't even know about that. So I didn't even know there was a wave of Justice Society figures coming out.
Did I say Justice Society?
No,
Somebody
Fig
said
Fan
Justice
Samurai did.
Oh, okay.
Said all four are going to have a Chase figure?
Oh, boy.
Yeah. He also says the Chase characters are way too stressful for me, too stressful to me. He's doing more of those, and it bums me out. Yeah, I feel like is it really a Chase figure if every fucking figure has a Chase figure at that point? Like, it's just getting ridiculous. And I
like the ones that are costume tweaks or whatever, but like, especially like in the case of like, Starfire, like it's a whole nother character.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Even though that representation of that character is really flaky. Like, I'm like,
right.
So, like, is it really Blackfire? Like, I really...
But, like the chances of
McFarlane
doing another Blackfire in the next 10 years are pretty slim. So...
Yeah.
Which
but
is
yeah,
cool.
it's...
At the same time, wouldn't it be cool if it was like, hey, this is not going to be that rare? If, like, they came out and been like, okay, this isn't going to be that hard to find, or did something, instead of being like, man, good luck.
Yeah, what I think is weird, too, like, I was at one of the local independent toy stores, maybe the largest independent one in the area, and they, of course, sell their McFarlane Platinums at a higher rate. But I thought it was funny because they have the new Adventures of Batman figures, which this is the only place I've seen them at this point. So the kind of the same scale as the Batman 66, but like the different looks of them. But like all they had was Platinum Batgirls. Like there was 7 of them. There was no regular Batgirl to be had, and the one they had it priced at $80. So all the rest of them, $19.99, except for Batgirl, who's $80, and you can't even get the regular one.
Yeah.
So like, is that more of a case that true collectors went in there and they were like, well, I want these, so I'll buy these, but I'm buying that platinum one?
So insider baseball here. The issue is
the term is inside baseball.
Whatever. I don't care. The people who are ordering those figures to get a discount on shipping are ordering as many cases as possible, even if they'll never sell. So if McFarlane's putting in a Chase in every case, that means every case they got a Chase Batgirl that will never sell because it's $80. And
I just think it's weird they didn't have any of the regular ones.
There's probably a good chance that they sent those to the other 2 stores and kept all the Chase ones to the big store, would be my guess.
Okay, that makes sense.
This independent store.
Would you say, Jarmar?
I don't understand that business model.
Oh, trust me, there's a lot of things I don't understand about their business models. But yeah.
So I feel like I get the impression that like as toy collectors we pretty much hate every company. Like,
I mean, I like
Not me.
MOFX. I like Metacom.
I mean, you do buy a ton of McFarlane, but I
Who?
get the impression
You're the only person here who
Yeah.
buys a ton of McFarlane.
But yet you're like, I hate everything about how they do it, and like, it's
Not
it's
necessarily.
natural. Like, but I mean it's just it. I guess I'm more embellishing like when I say we hate every company, but like it seems like it's just the same thing like over and over again for every single company of like maybe if we could just like get some open communication and understand exactly what their intent behind these things to clarify it, because I think a lot of stuff would be okay. Like you wouldn't need to cancel your pre-orders if Hasbro was like, hey, this is the reason why they come early. We're trying to stop it from happening.
Oh, but they aren't trying to
work
stop
with us. I know, but like if that was the case, it's just like having that two-way conversation between like the person who's buying everything and the person selling everything.
I feel like the only middle ground you're going to find there would be instead of giving a single month, they give like a 3-month range. So that way when it shows up 3 months early, they've hit that range. That's the best you're going to get from them at this point, even if you were to get anything. No company's going to give you transparency. Because look at the companies that do. You've got Super 7, who's probably like 75% transparent about things. And they can't win. So why the fuck would Hasbro want to pay somebody to be their face and be transparent about all of their bullshit dealings
It doesn't even need to be a face. It could just be someone that's posting, like, and not like a person, just a post on Hasbro or wherever. Like, it just clarity. It amazes me just because of like in my profession, I deal with like a lot of major huge company that manages every year on clockwork to deliver millions and millions and millions of like boxes of product to customers without a hiccup. But like I understand they're probably making significantly more money, but like how is it hard to just say, okay, we're making this is what it is, we show it, we put it up for pre-orders, it's going to be available at this date. Like I understand like you miss the bar sometimes or like shit happens, but like it's just confusing to me. It's hard to understand.
I think the difference
or wrap my head
between
around that.
technology and toys is toys, especially with Hasbro, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit if it shows up on time. They don't give a shit if it shows up early or late. They only give a shit about getting as much product out as possible each year to maximize their profits that they're going to lose.
You don't think that every other company is that way too? You don't think Apple would love to just sell 1 billion iPhones in a year? Like they're getting as many as they can send off. Like they just say like, hey, the phone's coming out September 14th. It's gonna come out September 14th.
Well, it's also a street date thing because they have to have. There's a lot more working parts. Your Ninja Turtle figure doesn't need a fucking update day one to like change the operating system. It doesn't have all the inner workings that technology does to where they want to like be able to have things ready.
Wouldn't it be harder? That's what I mean. Like it I feel like it would be harder to have all of the infrastructure set up to have this thing available on a certain day. It would be harder for someone to do that for technology versus a toy. Like, I don't understand.
But because you have to care if you're in technology. You don't have to care if you're a toy. That's what I'm saying.
Do you really think, though, that
they don't care? I don't believe that.
They don't care when their shit shows up. As long as it shows up and it's paid for, they don't give a shit if it shows up 6 months early and fucks everyone over.
I don't subscribe to the angry internet nerd thought there. Like, no,
you think
company,
they care?
Someone does. Like, you cannot be a working, functioning company and just basically go, I don't care. Like, that just doesn't.
They don't care about our side of things. They care about the product selling, the product making money.
Maybe the CEO or whatever, but like those people that do those live streams, like they give a shit.
Well, yeah, I'm not talking about the designers. The designers have nothing to do with the distribution.
You're just, you didn't.
We're literally talking about distribution right now. We're talking about when shit shows up, not about how it's developed.
Okay,
so that's a huge difference.
Okay. If I could say something here, I think, since Hasbro is who we're talking about, I think if they didn't care you would have seen more of the same wave at Target that you see at Walmart. But because I think there is somebody caring about something, they have, within the last couple of waves, I've noticed, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 years, they've kind of been like, okay, this wave is just going to Walmart because Walmart ordered this many, so this wave is going to go to Walmart and it's going to be available on Amazon. And then while that's happening, the next wave shows up at Target, and just curiously enough, it never shows up at Walmart. Like, I don't know, like, have you guys noticed that? Like, some of the comic waves,
I think
they kind of piggyback back and forth because they're like, we can't possibly have both show up, because then both of our biggest distributors are going to be stuck with this glut of product, and we're going to be the ones up shit creek because, or as that, us talking like as Hasbro.
Yes, not you. We know it's not you talking.
Yeah, but they would have just clogged shelves of two big distributors like that. And so I do think that they try other things, but I am with Jarmar that I really don't understand how you can say, like, you can order stuff on Hasbro Pulse and then it totally come at the wrong time, whether it be early or late. Either one just doesn't make any sense to me, because they are now the masters of the whole domain. Like, they literally make the rules and then have to set by them, and they still go, oh, Michael's not getting his vamp. You know, like, how does that happen? Like, how does that happen? Like,
what excuse would you have except for the person in charge of that does not care? The people who are developing the stuff, the people who are creating it, they are passionate. They care. The people in those live streams care. But the people who are dealing with the dollars and cents, all they care about the dollar and cents. They don't care if the dollars and cents comes on time or if it's 3 months.
But the accountants don't have anything to do with other stuff. And that's the people who count the money. So,
dude, I thought you were gonna go Christopher Walken right there. You were like, but the accountants.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, if
we're chasing our tail.
If they cared, then they'd stick to their dates. They don't care, so therefore they don't. It's simple. Like, there's like.
I won't say that they don't care. I'm not saying that, like, I'm genuinely curious. This is just like, no one's gonna answer this question. I'm just asking the question as of like, what is happening? Because it has to be something. I don't like believe that they're just like, I don't know, fuck it, ship it whenever it ships. I think it's like either there's like a sourcing issue, or they can't. Are they borrowing boats on other things and they can't get things over because they don't have their own? Like, Apple is a bad analogy because it's like $1 trillion company and they probably have their own fleet of ships that they're sending over these phones over. So sure, but like, it's so confusing on how a company can't just say March 31st, we're having all of these delivered to this place. Like, I just don't understand how, like, and it has to be more than just they don't care.
I assume that they have a limit of where the pre-orders would hit, where they sell out, and they order that limit in advance. That's why the factories are able to produce them as fast as they are. Because usually if you're shipping via boat, you're looking at 4 to 6 weeks at sea before it hits the ports. So if it's showing up 3 months early, that they're like, unless they got a new factory that's pumping shit out like hella fast, they have to be ordering it before the pre-orders go up, I'd assume. That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Here's kind of a conspiracy theory. I think Hasbro right now is in such dire straits. Like, they have lost so much money in the past 2 years that now they are like fumbling over themselves, and they're like, okay, vamps, we gotta get these out like right now, because we gotta collect that money right now. It's gotta happen right now. So ship those now. Other things will get pushed back. Like, I feel like it's just them kind of tumbling over themselves, which is kind of funny, because I feel like Hasbro whether they were doing good or bad, has always done this. Like even in like 1995, when Power of the Force was coming back out, it was like they were stupid as hell, and they were like, we sent like one case of 6 figures to like, you know, every Walmart. That's good enough, right? That's good enough for the new relaunch of Star Wars. So I feel like they've been like this for like 35 years or whatever. Now it's a magnitude of things, and I really think they are in such money problems that they're kind of like, okay, this one thing sold out, so let's get this on the boat and get it over there so we can get our money. That's what I think.
I just want to throw out one real quick, because you're not going to even believe that it's true, but it is. By the time Power of the Force 2 launched, it had only been 10 years since Star Wars had been on the shelf.
Oh, right. Yeah. That makes sense.
That's crazy, though, to think. There's only 10 years that Star Wars toys wasn't on the shelf.
Okay, I thought you meant like since the line, like the first Star Wars line started. You meant when it ended. I was like, that's how.
So what? It was like 85, and then 95 was when it started again.
So does it mean there's that since Star Wars toy line started, there's only been 10 years where it wasn't on toy shelves? That's impressive.
Since 1978, because the first actual action figure shipped in 1978, not 77. But yeah, so from 85 to 95, that was the only time.
Wow. I feel like that would have been like an incredible numbers game, but whatever.
Yeah,
it's okay. All of us will forget that until next week, so he can ask it.
How many years?
So we have some interesting things in chat here. So Dante's Toys says, I'm still very much enjoy collecting, but all figures go in the sequence. Pre-order, they get shipped, they come home, I open them, place on shelf, and that's on to the next figure. It's getting to be more of a chore than an exciting hobby. That, yeah, I can relate to that on many levels. Fig Fan Samurai's back in here. Random, but with all these leaks, Hasbro should just save money in doing live streams and just make social media posts like other companies do. I don't know. I feel like the live streams kind of add a little bit of flair, and then you get to actually see a like physical prototype like being handled by a person versus just like a digital render.
Like, I actually enjoy quite a bit of them. I like the G.I. Joe team for the most part. I think Lenny is really knowledgeable, and so I like them. I don't collect as much Marvel Legends as I used to, but I always liked that team. I always feel bad for the Star Wars team because it always looks like there's somebody from Lucasfilm just off camera with like a gun pointed at their head. They're never having a good time. Like, they're really
in their defense, I feel like they probably have the worst people in their chat out of all of the three groups there.
I agree.
Like, they cannot catch a break no matter what you do.
Yeah, exactly. They can't catch a break with any fans. They also can't catch a break from Lucasfilm. So, like, I get it. But I do enjoy them. Like, I was just thinking, like, because this week they had the first G.I. Joe one. And it was fun to have, like, a little G.I. Joe news show. Because they talked about toys. They talked about that game I'm never going to play. They talked about the Kickstarter for the comics. And I thought that was pretty cool. So...
especially
not to shit on
not really
Samurai answer, but I think they're fun.
Yeah, I agree, and they're just using.
I do hate though because I usually watch them on the replay because I'm on the road when they're on live, and I don't have as much driving time in between as I used to, so I don't get to watch them in one chunk. Why is it like 15 minutes on their replay that I got to fast forward through to finally get to the show? I'm like,
yeah.
So you know how we do that like 5 minutes of waiting for people to like file in?
Yeah.
That's the same thing.
They do it for like 15, but they put it it just drives me nuts. They're a bigger operation than that.
Well, also the other thing is I'm curious about is I wonder if those are legit live or if they're pre-recorded.
That's a great question. That is all
because they never really seem to fumble and they don't really like respond to the chat.
It's pre-recorded.
So I feel like it's pre-recorded, edited, and then they do it, which then makes that 15-minute wait even worse because then there's zero reason. The only reason they have for that 15 minutes is because they want to have as many people in that chat as possible to get the algorithm to like carry it further and further before it starts.
Yeah, probably.
But it's still ridiculous if it's pre-recorded for them to do that, though.
Well, it's weird. Like if you're watching it on demand, it should just cut that out at the beginning.
So you have
wouldn't
that
be
option.
hard.
Like what I've had to do with, and and it's a pain in the ass because YouTube like it doesn't load very well. But there's an editing tool that I have to go in after the podcast each week that we do it live, and I have to shorten out that first couple minutes where the thing is.
Very least, Hasbro has to have an intern that can do that.
You'd
You know what
think.
I'm saying?
Minimum.
If
Like,
they,
not even
well,
somebody
especially
that
if they have a production team that can like either
Yeah.
edit that thing together to be able to like for the pre-recorded or manage to switch between the different cameras and audio settings and all that, they have to have someone who can do that. So
Yeah.
it's very strange that they just don't. The only thing I think of is maybe if they do, they don't do it right away because I know YouTube has to like
Later.
finish rendering the
That
live.
could be.
So maybe you're watching it so soon after that they didn't get a chance. Because like I try to do it the night of and it won't let me. I usually have to wait until the next day
That
to
could
be able
that.
to.
Yeah,
to
because
do
I
it.
usually do jump right on right after it ends.
Yeah, so there's a chance that maybe they just didn't get a chance to because I think it has to render for a bit because
So
I'm not able to. Like usually we'll get off here, and if like either me and Jarmar will hop on and play some games, and I'll try to like let it sit there and load. And by the time we're done playing games, it still isn't loaded, and I have to do it in the morning.
One of the things, though, to piggyback off of what Fig Fan Samurai said, though, is, you know, why don't they just do social media posts? One of the things that does kind of annoy me is that they do both. And so that it's like, I might be expecting an announcement on a live stream, but then, oh, I missed. They made a post on, because they just revealed, like, I don't collect it anymore, but like two different, you know, Black Series sets yesterday, and they just dropped it in the middle of the day. And I don't know, it's just kind of weird.
Yeah, I think
They
that
were Mandalorian.
is
they
that more
were.
of just like maybe a thing where it's because there's so much time in between when they do these streams.
I would assume it's probably not beneficial, and they have to get stuff out all the time. But
Mhm.
I don't know,
I
it's
get
just
the
kind of
numbers
irritating.
up.
So
Yeah.
I will say, like, pre-orders for like smaller companies are definitely good.
Mhm.
Like Ramen Toys last week, my Ramen Racer came in. That I had absolutely no problem pre-ordering that. I was like, you know, support that company. Eagle Force, by what are they called, Nate? Who
Fresh
makes
Monkey
those?
Fiction.
Fresh Monkey Fiction. They had those pre-orders up for like what 2 years, and it was like they finally came out and they are like completely sold out now. Like it was like now they came out, now they're gone. I think those types of companies kind of need that support to even fathom to do these things. So pre-orders in that sense is cool. But at this point, like with way you're able to cancel your pre-orders for Hasbro, I don't see how that's a very good business model either. Like, because you're like trying to pre-order, or you're getting these pre-orders in for your numbers, and you're just like, okay, here's our numbers, and then it's like, oh wow, people are pre-ordering this good or whatever. Then what? Like everybody cancels it, and then you're at like square one. Except now you need to find an outlet for all of these canceled pre-orders.
Yeah, I've wondered about that because I know they're
Walks
not made to
always.
order or whatever, but it does give them like kind of an idea. And you know, there's certain figures like you'll pre-order it from Big Bad Toy Store and Amazon and Target and you know maybe somewhere else, and then you're like the first place who gets it to you. You know, you take it and then you cancel the rest.
Or you forget, and then you end up with 4 of them.
Yeah, there's that too. That you know that can also happen. Or you could order it twice off the same website because you forget.
Fucking been there. Which speaking of which, Nate, like if you were to accidentally pre-order 2 figures on a website, what would you maybe do with those figures when they showed up?
I would take pictures of them.
Yeah,
is what I would do with them. I would take the one figure and I would absolutely take pictures of them. I don't know if any. I mean, do you out there have an interest in toy photography? Because if you do, and you're looking to improve your skills or simply looking for inspiration, Toytography magazine has what you need. They offer in-depth interviews with skilled artists, tips for lighting, composition, and other areas of photography. figure posing and working with props. They have an artist wall, contests, and more. Their quarterly magazine is available in digital or print, and you can visit the website at toytographymag.com. And you're also welcome to join their Facebook page where you can share your photos, discuss tips, participate in contests. They're going to see you there. I'm going to see you there. Michael's going to see you there because, you know, he shows up places.
Speaking of showing up places, the June issue is out. I do have an article in there with some tips and tricks for Photoshop, and they gave me permission that here in a couple weeks I can throw the article up on our Patreon, so patreon.com/moderntoyfair. But in the meantime, you can still go to their website and order it, and then you have a physical copy. You can also do digital, like Nate said. I'm ordering physical because I want to tear my article out and frame it, but that's just for me. But yes, thank you, Nate. Greatly appreciated. So one last thing I do want to touch on, just because 50 Samurai mentioned this again, and it's going back to what Jarmar mentioned with the street dates, and he said he's worked in the music industry for most of my life and can't wrap my head around the fact that Hasbro can't release something on date, and I can't imagine if albums just went on sale whenever they showed up. So another thing that I kind of, I was sitting there thinking about it while we were talking about other things, action figures also don't need the hype. For a new iPhone, they need that hype. They need people to get excited for it. So you set a release date. A new video game, they have to get people hyped, so they set a release date. A new album. Taylor Swift, like, she sets a date and the internet fucking blows up. Like, action figures, we aren't gonna fucking be like, oh man, I can't wait for June 7th to show up so I can get that new Marvel Legend toy. No, we're just like, we have so many fucking things that it's not like
we could though.
But at the same time,
we haven't been given the opportunity.
But there's so much that we literally every week have a fucking new date that we'd be excited for.
That's true.
So it's not, it's like there's one iPhone per year. I mean, technically there's multiple models, but there's one iPhone release per year. Most musicians do 1, 2, maybe 3 albums per year. No one's pumping out a new album.
3 albums a year?
I don't fucking know.
No one's doing that.
It's like every 2 to 3 years, and you know.
Well, either way, even like one per year. Like, you're at that point, like, compared to the fact that we have new action figures coming out every month.
Why did you roll your eyes though when Michael said Taylor Swift set a date and the internet flipped out?
Because did she set a date or did she just release the album? Like,
no, she did. She set a date.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that was Beyonce. That she just was like, she had a commercial at the Super Bowl and then the album just came out. Like,
yeah.
Shortly after.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's necessarily true with the internet, that everything needs the hype.
Not everything, but I'm just saying certain things do.
I just think that it's mostly logistics of like, we want to have everything on like, hey, Taylor Swift's releasing that date because she wants everyone to listen to the album so she can get those streams all in a condensed time of like, oh, look how many people stream my album in the first day or first week, versus just releasing it on a random day. But she's so large that she would get that regardless. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if it's the hype. But like Nate said, and I won't, try to drag on this conversation about this, but if given an option, I would absolutely love that, because I don't have 15, 20 different lines that I'm collecting. So if I knew, I don't know, August 15th, the wave of these Super 7 figures are coming out, I have an expectation of like, this is when it's going to drop. I'll have my money ready at this point in time. And I don't know why that would be.
It would really help for budgeting reasons.
Yeah. How would that
it would help
negative?
For 50% of the people at this table right now.
Yeah.
But for the other 50% who buy almost everything that's on the market, it wouldn't do shit for either of you.
But what would be the difference then of like not knowing? Like, I think knowing's half the battle.
But I'm just saying, like, if you have like new things coming in every week, it's not going to help you budget because you're still going to have money coming out every week. So,
sure, but I'd like to know it.
Everything wouldn't have to come out crazy and haphazardly if it was, Hasbro. We're going to release, when we release our figures, we do it every third week of the month. There's going to be announcement or new figures released. It just could be much more organized.
That also costs more money to be that more organized. And this is a company that's also losing money.
They don't give a shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, the whole company doesn't give a damn.
Oh my God. Never said the whole company didn't give a damn.
No, not at all.
But no, like that also costs money to be that organized. So
But
like you have a
this
company
is
that
true.
like
My
that
point is-
reported 25% loss last year in their toys.
Maybe because
like,
they're not fucking organized.
No, it's because they were pumping out too much product that fucking went
because
to Ollie's.
they wasn't organized. That's my
Yeah.
point.
No, it's because they were
like,
greedy
gotta-
and they wanted to get out more toys. Because McFarlane was like, "Look
You
at me,
gotta-
I had the most toys in 1 year." And they're like, "Fucking hold my beer. We're Hasbro. We can do that too."
I just you
You gotta
can.
And then
make
they're
money.
like,
You gotta
what do you
spend
mean
money
nobody
to
wants
make
to buy
money.
these?
There you go.
Oh man. I agree with Fifth Fan Samurai. I miss midnight releases though.
I agree.
He
I
brought
miss
that up.
midnight release. I miss like going to I miss going to like a store and like seeing anything new. Like
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I
Ah.
see new things. I saw the new Captain America figure today, and I texted Jarmar, and then I had to convince myself not to buy it as well.
The funny thing about that though is it's just like I was watching a YouTube video and they were talking about will like Star Wars ever bring back the mail away figure, and to his point he was like, aren't they all mail away
I
figures?
say, yeah, they all were mail away at this point. Well, technically, mail away figures didn't cost money, did they?
Depends. Some did, some didn't. Most of them were like proofs of purchase or flag points or turtle points or pizza points or whatever.
Mhm.
But sometimes you had to include like $1.95 or something,
For postage.
And you'd have to have your mom write a check to Kenner,
I'm going to
I-
Circle K and getting a money order.
Yeah, for
I have, like,
75 cents postage and handling for some bullshit back in 1982 or
Oh,
whatever.
man. That's funny.
But now with Amazon, you could buy a bag of Lay's potato chips with every Star Wars figure now. So
Yeah, I
instead
don't
of
need
just
just the spirit of Obi-Wan.
Spirit of Obi-Wan.
Yeah, that's a deep pull. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Those were some good times. Not good
They
figures, but
they
good
really were.
times.
They really were. And then there was like that thought in the back of your head. You'd be like, I'm never getting this. I'm never getting
Yeah.
this. I did all this work,
Yeah.
and I'm never gonna get this figure.
Yep.
That blue hunk of plastic sure did come.
Yep. And then it sat at the bottom of toy bins across the nation.
Everywhere. Like
It was
nobody
an
wants this thing.
No, it was immobile blue chunk. Like,
All right.
Don't make
So,
them like
Before I close out, I want to get last couple chats in here that we missed.
I gotta dig
so-
mine up.
So I believe it's Kavakai or Cave Kai says this is for reference to Hasbro having like a PR person. They try and have a face. I remember Emily from G.I. Joe would sort of give updates and whatnot, and it just got met with unwarranted hate towards her, which is the case of most people. Look at Randy. He got bullied off the internet to the point where people like got his real number and shit.
because they weren't sticking to the dates.
Seriously? I didn't
Yeah,
even know
people
this.
suck.
Oh yeah, people fucking found his real phone number and were like calling him and shit. And I'm surprised he posted anywhere that he opened a toy store, because I just assumed that people would fucking go and try to like travel to New York just to bully him. Like there was a real hate for Randy on the Twitter.
Yeah, the thing is though is that those people are absolute cowards in person, so
Fair.
like
Very
they
good
wouldn't
point.
actually go.
I don't know. In
I was
this day and age, I feel like there's at least one asshole who'd do it. But
I was trying to
also,
remember-
he mentioned that Emily is the market person. Do you mean marketing or like market like the
Probably.
buyer?
Yeah, marketing.
Marketing. So marketing is a
But
little different.
but I think she heads the GI Joe team. She used to do Power Rangers.
But that's kind of gone.
Yeah. So they moved her
That's
over to
cool,
GI Joe, and then the bigger dude that was on the live stream this week with the very obvious Rattler shirt on. He also works for Transformers, but now is also on the GI Joe team as well. And Lenny came from Transformers.
Okay. Yes, they did specify marketing. They went back and updated that. So Anthony Albert says, but having figures on release date would also make the hunt easier in theory. Thought you might end up racing scalpers to the store. Or though, not thought. Sorry, I can't read. So yeah, that's one thing I do want to end on here is I would love for there to be cemented release dates. I think that'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, then like if it's not pre-orders and you're doing the whole in-store thing, then you're back where Corey's at, fighting off scalpers. So like, there's no win no matter what you do.
But if you know that it's on a certain day, you could be at that store.
Yeah.
And then you
But
got
if you can't though?
Yeah. What if
And
you have a job?
And that's true. I mean, the one
Or a broken leg.
if you
Then you're back in the same
or
place.
you have a pre-order ticket, you should be able to get it or whatever. But that goes back into pre-ordering, and it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
So we didn't fix anything.
Nope.
We're a bunch of chumps.
We are.
Sorry that you spent this last hour with us.
Hour and 9 minutes, actually.
Sorry.
90?
Yeah. 9.
It's a grisly hobby that we have.
It's a
Just
sucky
stop
hobby.
collecting and listen to the Taylor Swift album.
That's the takeaway.
I don't know that that's a
Stop
great
collecting
plan,
action
'cause that
figures. Grow up and listen to the new Taylor Swift album. That is the takeaway from this week's Modern Twitter.
It's kind of depressing. Like, I don't know.
Well, you're good because you're gonna need it when you break up with your toys. But on that note, if you enjoyed this live stream, hopefully you like and subscribe.
We didn't do the
yeah.
Oh yes, what is our
Patreon-
Patreon input?
Yeah. We got like 3 of them.
We got quite a bit this time.
All right.
I don't know why in my head that was after the outro. I don't know.
All right. So this comes from our compatriot or longtime Sukma Taint.
He's our longtime Sukma Taint.
Yeah, long time Sukma Taint. It's comparison time. Pixel Dan is a professional wrestler. Corey is a professional artist. Pixel Dan published a book about He-Man. Corey publishes graphic art prints. Pixel Dan loves chickens. Corey does too.
What was that first fact that he said about me?
A professional artist.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
All right. The next one is the 45th lyric. I haven't canceled any pre-orders. Most of mine are import pre-orders.
Samesies.
But almost everything domestic, I have just started waiting until they are in store or in stock if it is an online exclusive. I have rules for what I collect and try to stick to those rules closely, so I don't ever feel overwhelmed by the hobby. As for someone as big as Pixel Dan, I do wonder if he even really needs to pre-order. Doesn't he get many samples from places anyway? I don't know.
I don't think he does, except for maybe
I don't
Mattel.
think they like. I think a lot of times they get those press boxes that you'll see them do an unboxing for and stuff like that. But I don't think they get sent stuff regularly. Maybe some of the smaller companies will send out stuff for them to look at or something like that.
Yeah,
but
it seems like Hasbro and them, it's a very rare thing for them to do it.
Yeah, and it's usually a bunch of stuff from a particular line that,
Yeah.
All right.
Which is odd because Hasbro owns Wizards of the Coast, and Wizards of the Coast sends out so many like Magic card like expensive bundles to thousands of streamers, and it's like, but y'all can't fucking send like $100 in action figures to somebody.
Well, I gotta imagine just because the cards are so much cheaper to produce.
That's the other thing is how's Hasbro losing money when they got Wizards of the Coast? They literally are charging like quadruple for sets when their cost is probably the same because it's fucking cardboard.
Yeah. They're losing money.
All right, so we still have one more. This is from Christopher.
It's all fraud.
Yeah. I canceled a ton of pre-orders a while back after watching Pixel Dan's old video on how he ultimately hit a wall and transformed his collection into only things he really loved. Turns out I don't really love Indiana Jones. Most of Star Wars beyond the iconic characters are apparently nothing DC that isn't Batman or Superman. I do love TMNT, G.I. Joe, Masters of the Universe, and now Mythic Legions. And only one of those brands really requires me to pre-order. I'm assuming they mean Mythic Legions.
Yeah.
Because you can't go to anywhere to buy those.
Yeah, except for like they have a handful of like local shops that are authorized dealers. But beyond that,
Yeah.
And at that point, by the time they hit that, the prices have all gone up anyway because they cut a pre-order discount.
That's it.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, thank you to all of our lovely Patreons who took participation. Anthony Albert says he left a comment on Patreon. I'm guessing he must be the 45th lyric, or because I can't imagine he's also Anthony and Christopher. That'd be an interesting twist.
Anthony Christopher.
Or Christopher Anthony.
Christopher Anthony. It's very possible.
Why does that name sound like it's supposed to be someone?
What is? It's a person who commented in YouTube. So.
Oh my god! I'm talking about like it sounds like a name that was like a big deal.
That's because it's two names.
Oh my god! Never mind. Anyway,
Like Mario.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there was like something like, wasn't there some lady who like was on trial, like a famous trial, and her last name was like Anthony or something?
Casey.
Anthony.
That's why. See, that's why it sounds like
wow.
Christopher Casey. Yeah. See,
You should not have brought her up.
At all.
terrible.
Thanks for ending
don't-
the show
Yeah.
on a very, very bad note.
I don't know.
I think
Sorry,
we got a
Anthony
big
Albert.
titties to talk about. You more Corey's titties to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
where's
that's
my
right.
TV?
It's that. Oh,
We already did the input, so it's too late.
huh?
No, that's the input. The podcast.
Oh, we haven't gotten to the podcast. So that's the end. We're
I
almost
know.
there.
We were
Oh,
talking about
okay.
inputs though.
Yeah.
You input what? Michael, you're the host.
Well, if for some reason you're still around and you oddly enough enjoyed
Why-
this live stream,
Why shouldn't you be? Because this is the gold.
Yeah.
please
that's what you
please
watch
make
for.
sure to like and subscribe. I beg you. If you would like to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, we have at Modern Toy Fair. If you are a fan of the channel and like to help support us, you can head over to patreon.com/Modern Toy Fair. We have one tier, it's $1, gets you access to submitting Patreon input for the podcast. You can submit the fake podcast for Nate to read at the end of each live stream. Any pre-recorded video we do going forward will be put up there first. Any pictures I take will go up there first. My articles that I write for Toytography Magazine will go up there a few weeks after release. So check that out, link in the description below. You can check Jarmar out over on TikTok at Jarmar_games. Corey, where can everyone find you?
At Vile Consumption. I promise I'm gonna post something sometime. I'm just working on a lot of art right now, so it's when it does come, it's gonna be an avalanche. But Instagram mostly, Facebook, Twitter, all those things.
Cool. Links in the description below for that as well. Nate, what you got for us?
What happened to like Jamar's like Jamar.ninja.Texas Toast or whatever that was?
He changed
Oh, yeah.
from the Sludge TV or whatever Metal.tv
Metal.
thing, and then he
Metal.
went to TikTok, but he doesn't do anything on any of them. It's all just been a ploy to see if I'll say something. But I want him to feel
I'm
included.
actually over on.
So
I'm streaming on Kick now, so I'll give you the link so you can.
all right,
repost.
so it's
Mention that.
kick.com/Jamar_games.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Every Wednesday.
What's your chatterbait name?
Come on, I can get something. Jarmar Bangs. Jamar_Bangs. There we go. That's a good one. That's a good
Oh, that
one.
was good.
That's deceptive though, because you don't have any bangs. Is that what we're
He
talking
does
about?
when he's
The
on
ones
there.
that count.
He
Not
does when he's
yet.
on there.
Oh, okay.
He shows up in his blue
Oh,
wig and he gets all the ooh-woos.
Why is this called Jamar Bangs? Oh, he does
Oh, he's
have
got
bangs.
his bangs. He's actually just sitting there casually, just like fingers
Oh, there's-
going ooh over and over.
And then goes like this.
He does the tongue out thing too with his eyes crossed.
Dude, we're in post Chick-fil-A girl society. Anything is possible.
Mhm.
Nate, what's the fucking fake podcast?
It's all about public hypocrisy. It's coming to you from Modern Toy Fair and in association with Sukma Taint. In this investigative podcast, we explore hypocrisy in all forms, including politicians who rally against homosexuality while secretly foot-tapping their way into airport bathroom mouth pleasure. We also visit a 1960s cartoon caveman who yabba-dabba-doos his wife into misogynistic gender roles over the course of 166 episodes. Lastly, we discuss a toy influencer who pretends to have never seen a single Quentin Tarantino movie while secretly having a shelf dedicated to female action figures' feet. As a bonus to make up for the week Nate ditched the live stream to watch a movie last month, this podcast also awards Corey 3 new titties. They are the man who has more titties than a Wisconsin dairy farm, the man who Cobra Commander promised 72 chickens to fly a Cobra Rattler into the G.I. Joe USS aircraft flight carrier, rough, and finally, the man who isn't afraid to knock on Brian Flynn's back door to get his right grippy hand. Well done, sir. You know, there was a time we asked him to do better, and he fucking did.
He's absolutely.
He's delivering on all cylinders at this point, and I like the danger of reading them without.
Oh my god! I assumed you'd vet him. I didn't know I still had to.
Nope. I saw the thing about bathroom mouth pleasure, and I thought, yep, we're going there.
Yeah, you said that. That was how you started off. And I'm like, oh no, I should have read this first.
Yep. Yeah, well.
These got to be read at the beginning of the episode because I need to make sure that everyone's seeing this. This is hilarious.
Yeah, those definitely have to be in the beginning of the episodes now. You have to remember.
I mean, we have more people now than we did when we started.
That's fair. That's fair.
Usually when we first start, like, there's still people.
He wants all his titties to be announced at the beginning of the show.
I want all those titties to be announced.
That's
I don't know if those is.
You want to add to the intro. Oh god. Listen, you're like 47 titties at this point. I can't fucking remember all that.
The problem with coming out with those 3 just gems is how are you ever going to top that? How are you ever going to top that?
Challenge accepted, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Don't challenge him. He'll find a way. And I will have to vet it before I give it to Nate because it can get so much worse.
No, I'm pulling a Ron Burgundy at this point. I'll just read
put it in front of you. You'll read it. Oh no!
Fuck off, San Diego.
Hopefully, see you next week. Same toy time, same toy channel. Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
That movie is old.